guys, how are you? Just Tammy here. Um, it's not very often that I go through my content and read comments, good or bad. I just don't. I know I've said this a few times, but I'll say it again. I've learned after making videos long before you could just hit the button where you actually had to pre-record and then upload to Facebook. Yes, that was a long time ago, especially for most of you youngins out there. But I've learned one thing, and it's to not pay attention to a lot of comments, good or bad. It's a bad idea and it's a bad headspace to get into, and it could lead to a lot of ugly things. But what I do is every now and again, a comment will kind of strike me in a certain kind of way where I feel like I want to insert my opinion of that comment. And so, as you can tell by the look on my face, I'm so thrilled about this one. I guess I should have done one of those post your comment here things, but I really just didn't have the energy to even do that. So people want to ask me the question about Matt's funeral and the family raising money to help with Matt's cremation and whatever other services that they wanted. For one, I don't understand why you're asking me. You should be asking any one of them if they would even answer you or get back to you, which they probably wouldn't. Even though I have a good standing with the Brown family, and they don't always get back to me either, so I don't take it personally. I just look at it as okay. Like, if you have time, great. If not, that's okay too. Not going to ruin my day. But what I can say is what I know, and what I'm going to say and able to say is that when you have an unexpected incident like this, like let's say you're driving down the highway, you're going to work, and bam, you get T-boned, and now you not only are in the hospital, but you also don't have a car because it's been totaled. I don't think there's a lot of Americans out there that can just go and pull, you know, random amounts of cash out of their bank account, like $20,000 or $30,000, just to say hypothetically, to replace the car until the insurance company decides whether or not they're going to give you full value on a total. Oh, and then you're in the hospital with a lot of hospital bills that your insurance company will probably cover until the other person's insurance company covers it. But you also have home expenses too. You probably have a family, you probably have a mortgage, you probably still have car payments, you probably still have animals and kids and everything else. So let's be realistic. The average American doesn't have a big fat bankroll that they can just pull out of whenever they need to. I don't. I have a great big house. I do. I have a huge house. My house is huge, and I have a lot of land, and I own 2 cars, and I basically don't have to do a whole lot. But if there was something that was to unexpectedly happen, I couldn't just go to my bank and pull out $20,000. No, I am what you'd call house rich, land rich, and possessions or material rich. Yes, if I went and sold everything I own, it would probably equal almost $500,000. Woo, in this day and age when the dollar goes absolutely nowhere, that doesn't mean a whole lot. Now, let's fast forward back to the topic. When Matt passed away, it was a very unexpected thing for the entire family. And if you look at the entire family, you'll see that they're really not rolling in a lot of dough, right? All of them work, all of them struggle, all of them have families. And just because they were on a TV show like a long time ago, doesn't mean they're rich. It doesn't mean that they're getting royalties. And unless you were there for the contract signing and negotiations, you can't assume that they're sitting there collecting royalties. Because 1, they're not. 2, they were paid per episode. 3, it really wasn't a lot of money. 4, the family spent a lot of money. And 5, they don't have much money anymore. So let's go over how the family spent a lot of their money, right? Well, let's see. Amy got really sick. And even though people may or may not have health insurance, I know from my grandmother being sick with her health insurance, it didn't cover everything. And she was paying for chemo treatments out of her retirement. That was $250,000 30 years ago. Amy was sick, and Amy continues to be sick. Now, Billy got sick as well, and a lot of money went to paying for medical bills for Billy because he was sick as well. Oh, wait, and then there was a fire on the mountain that destroyed everything. And a lot of times, insurance companies, especially in places that are known to have wildfires or floods, don't cover that type of thing. So they probably, and I'm going to guess, and if I look up, which anybody can look up, the fact that they lost almost everything and had to recoup that from their own money. Because again, in a wildfire area or a flood area, most insurance companies don't carry coverage, and they don't have to carry coverage. Let's see. Oh yeah, then there was the 3 times that Matt went to recovery at Betty Ford. If you go and look up how much it is to stay at Betty Ford for 1 month, do the math on that. I think he stayed a total of, and I'm going to say about 8 months in total within 3 years or 4 years. So let's do the math on that, right? It's about $30,000 to $50,000 a month. You do the math on that. Okay. Let's fast forward again to Matt's death and the unexpected expenses of that. Then let's look at the unexpected expenses of having to not only pay for services, but flights to get to wherever they are. Does Bear have a very popular TikTok? Yes, he does. Does he make money? Yes, he does. But does he have enough money to sit there and go, okay, I'm going to spend $2,000 on plane tickets. I'm going to spend $3,000 or $4,000 for the family on my brother's services. I'm also going to be continuously taking care of my children because he is in fact a very good father who has followed them all around the country and is really good friends with his ex-wife, which I commend both of them for. They're very adulting right now, which most of us cannot say that we would ever do. So let's be honest, okay? Then you also have to pay a lawyer to go and get the Jeep that somebody has in their possession that you do not, and you have to hire a lawyer for that. And yes, you also want to investigate Matt's death, so you want to keep retaining that lawyer so that you can do that. But your lawyer's not going to sit there and go, hey pal, I'll give you a twofer. No, more than likely he had to have 2 retaining fees to keep that lawyer to do 2 separate cases. Now, I don't know about you, but whenever I've needed a lawyer in the past, most lawyers' retaining fees were between $3,000 and $5,000, depending on what you needed them for and how long they thought it was going to take you to need them. And then you pay continuously until the case is complete. Now, if anybody wants to sit and argue with me about any of this, you're more than welcome to do so, but more than likely I'm not going to look at the comments, and 2, more than likely you really don't know what you're talking about unless you were to Google it or Grok it, and you can twist and turn Google and Grok any way you want to fit your narrative of an answer. That's the honest truth. Did Bear ask for money to help with Matt's funeral? Yes, but you know what? I think even if he didn't, I think a lot of his fans, and I think a lot of Matt's fans, would have probably donated it because they wanted to help and they wanted to make sure that the family was okay. So whether or not he asked for money, they probably would have received it anyway. Either way, at the end of the day, it's really nobody's business what they do. There's 1,000,002 GoFundMes out there for the dumbest things I've ever seen in my entire life. There's 1,000,002, please help me and pay my bills. There's 1,000,002, oh, please help me, I need new shoes, or red bottoms, or the dumbest shit I've ever seen out there on the internet. But for some strange reason, everybody wants to sit and pick at the Brown family because you all think that they walked away from that show being billionaires, and you're completely wrong. If you ask me, I never would have signed the contract to begin with because it was a shafty contract and they were going to get fucked in the end. Not my call. So I think that if you have a question about their finances, you can message them and ask them. If you want to leave a comment on my posts that I repost to give updates to certain people on certain platforms that don't have TikTok, but they still want to know what's going on, so I share that content. Sorry, guys. Try to message them. Try to leave a comment on their content. Maybe they'll answer it. But if you take a really good look at all of their lives, they're not rolling in dough. And to be perfectly honest with you, I probably happen to make more money than Bear Brown himself. And I'm just a lowly, nobody, white piece of trash in the middle of the fucking woods. But that's just how my dice rolled, because I made my choices. So I hope that answered a lot of you guys' questions. I don't mean to sound like a snarky bitch, but I think that it's just a shallow thing to sit and hover over the fact that somebody asked for help. If we can't rely on our friends and our neighbors and people that care about us, who can we rely on? We've all asked for help. Don't act like you haven't. Every single person out there has asked for help. And a lot of people who never got it wish they probably had. So I'm sorry if you didn't. Everybody have a good day.